What is up, everybody? My name is Clay Frost. Welcome back. Today, I want to talk about a question that I get all the time, and it has to do with failure. The question is, how do I fail? And not like, what's the step-by-step to failure? Like, how do I do it more frequently? How do I make sure I fail? It's more of a question of how do I approach failure? Like, what's my mindset with failure so that I can ultimately continue to progress? That's what the question is. How can I fail really good, really well? And that question is a really good question because it indicates something that is a very important mindset, a very important approach to failure, and that is it's inevitable. Failure is going to happen. Mistakes will be made. That is okay. And I think that when you start asking, how do I fail? That's a really good question because that's showing that you understand that failure is part of the process. So start asking yourself, how can I fail in a much better way? Now, getting into it, I'll answer that question for you. First and foremost is the idea of approach and avoidance, okay? We want to approach failure because failure means we are getting out of our comfort zone, we're trying new things, we're pushing our skills, we're pushing our development faster. And that's really good because that shows that we're driven. And so we want to approach failure. When we avoid failure, what happens there is we do anything to avoid the failure. We try to cheat, we try to do anything we can, we avoid the limelight, we don't want to fail, and so we avoid it. We don't want to avoid failure, we want to push through failure. We want to use failures as the building blocks of the house of our success. I love talking about banners. In fact, the last few teams that I've worked with, that's become kind of the motto of the team is banners. It's every little chant or war call, they go, banners, right? And so I want to talk a little bit about that because I love the idea that a banner, a state championship, a national, a league championship, whatever, banners that are put up around an arena, they are built thread by thread. And those threads are failures. We should wear them on the end of our sleeves because that, like a failure, just signifies that we have the right mindset and we're moving forward. We're trying new things. We're trying to get better. And banners are built on the fabrics of our failures. That is the only way that we can get to where we want to be, is through failure. Failure is the path. Failure is the way. And that's so important to realize because once we realize that, we don't take on the perception or the personification or the identity of a failure. We are one who fails, but not always failure. Does that make sense? Failure is the way. If we're not failing, we're not pushing ourselves harder and further. But make sure that every failure leads to an increase of skill or knowledge or an increase of different tactics or different game plans. Because the moment that we allow ourselves to fail and we're okay with failure and we become complacent, that's very dangerous. The way we reach the top of the podium is brick by brick, stepping on top of failures. The banners are built off of the fabrics of our failures. All right? Make sure that failure is not something that you're avoiding, it's something that you are approaching, that you're okay with, you're not complacent about, because every failure should lead to a strong lesson learned so that we can make great progress time and time again. But if you're not trying new things, you're not moving forward, then you'll never experience failure. Use failure as a springboard to help you launch to further heights. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.